Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's event, which is a panel discussion to share knowledge. So, our moderator today is 𝗁𝗏𝗏, and he's welcoming you into the building sustainability into the agri-food value chains, and he is now introducing how to use the headset for the translation at the event. And for the translation on Zoom, you can hit the globe icon and you can choose English. And if you want to switch back to the main audio, you can also choose that. And we will start soon. So now 𝗁𝗏𝗏 is telling us that it is very, very exciting and he will be unofficially welcome us to this event. We have our panelists from many fields who will be sharing with us today their knowledge and experiences to build sustainability into the agri-food value chains. But before we get to building sustainability, we have to understand the food system and the problems that it has nowadays, and why it is important to look at food system and agriculture. Because everyone in the world, we are in this agricultural sector. Therefore, it is very, very important, because if we want to promote sustainability in the future, we have to establish sustainable food system first. So what is the problem? In the past, we have learned that there's global warming, which comes from partly from the food system, both the producers and consumers. Us who are in this food value chain, we are responsible to create and build sustainability. And another problem that has occurred in Thailand in our food system is that the production make this deforestation happen a lot in Thailand, because in the past, the forest areas in Thailand around 100 years ago, we used to have 40% of the forests in the whole area of country. But now it is reduced to 30%. And the area we used to plant crops. And also in Thailand, we use a lot of chemical fertilizers. One of the top 10 or top countries in the world, which will affect directly the consumers who consume the food, and it will cause safety issues. And also, we are going to be talking about food waste and food surplus, which is really important on how we can reduce those food waste and how we can help that in the value chain, how we can help make that happen. And this will be the topics that we will be talking about today. For today, there will be 3 sessions. In the first sessions, we will be talking about trend, gaps, and opportunities that is happening in the food value chains. And in the second session, we will be talking about business model for sustainable agri-food value chains and how we can solve these issues and using this business model. And in the third session, we will be talking about digital tools. We will be talking about digitalization, the opportunity that we can take in order to solve the problem. How we can use digital platforms to be solving the problem of food value chain. And we will find the answers today. Today we have a lot of panelists and experts from different fields, and I would like to begin with the first session. I would like to introduce our panelists onto the stage, and I would like to invite them onto the stage. We will be talking about trends and opportunities. We are honored to have an expert, an associate consumer insight team director, and the CEO of INTAGE, to be presenting about market research. Please welcome Mr. Jakkarin. And our next panelist is 𝗏𝗏𝗏 who is the CEO of Wisesight. Have you heard about listening? Social listening? This is one of the companies in Thailand that has done research about the market and social listening in Thailand. So he has a lot of experience and he will be sharing with us today about the gaps and opportunities. May I invite both of them onto the stage? I would like to begin now. Kun Jakkarin and Kun 𝗏𝗏𝗏. For today, INTAGE and Wisesight would like to express our gratitude, and we feel really honored to be invited to share the insight that we have gained from the research. And the goal here that we have done our market research is that we want to know more about gaps that nowadays the sustainability actions, what are some opinions from the consumers, as well as for the business, how SDG is being applied to the business model and how companies are using these sustainability practices. And also for opportunities in the business sector, how can they address sustainability? How can they drive the expectation in consumers? I would like to begin right now. As for the objectives of today's event, we would like to understand and we would like to know more about the level of understanding of consumers, how consumers are categorized, and as for the sustainability, how can consumers apply that into practices, and do they have, and what kind of transformative behaviors consumers have. And also, how can they increase value for the corporate in the perspective of consumers. We'll be talking about the methodology first. There are three main things that we use. We use social listening analysis, and we use quantitative survey, and we use qualitative survey. We cover both demand side and supply side, who's our consumers and businesses. And let me first begin with social listening before we understand the trends and sustainability actions in the perspective of consumers in terms of quantitative and qualitative interview. And 𝗏𝗏𝗏 will be presenting to us about social listening. I am 𝗏𝗏 from Wisesight, and our work, we do social listening, or the consumer insight research from social media. We collect data on online platforms on how consumers or the online users talk about each topic. We will use the keyword to filter the content, and then we will use the program to understand and differentiate between the content and their emotion when they post something online. So let's talk about agri-food value chains. We're going to talk about insight and challenges that the consumers are interested in right now, and what do we gain of that, and what is the challenges and the opportunities of this topic. I would like to divide my presentation into three parts. First, we would talk about methodology through online platform, and also the second one is the key finding, what we have found and what we analyzed, and what challenges we see from each solution and each process of this trend. And lastly, I will be talking about some case studies, just some examples that we have direct feedback from the consumers So it will take around 20 minutes. And the first section here is the research methodology. I believe that everyone knows that for the agri-food chain, there are around 7 processes. So first, it starts with the food production to the waste stream. In each stage, there are solutions, so many solutions to make it happen. How can we produce food and how we process it? As for Wisesight, we take care and we try to understand the level of understanding of consumers. And we find that there are 14 solutions that we have gained insight. 14 solutions. And for some solutions, there are not impact on consumers. But for consumption, you can see that it directly affects the consumers. After we have gained 14 solutions that affect the consumers, we find the intensity and how degree on what level do consumers talk about these solutions. So I would like to talk about 5 solutions that consumers mainly talk about these topics the most. The first one is less meat consumption. And secondly, we will be talking about organic food and farming. And the third one is global farming, grown, owned food and urban farming. And then 4, we will be talking about food waste management, the food surplus and food waste. And lastly, we'll be talking about sustainable food packaging, how we package the food and product and make it sustainable. So we have checked and we have learned about the significance of the presence of these mentions on these topics. In Thailand, we compare this with other topics that is mostly talked about, for example, cannabis or cryptocurrency or entertainment such as Blackpink. But less meat consumption has been talked about a lot, so the number is significant. A lot of people are interested in this topic, and we can prove that a lot of people are aware and talk about this topic. Of course, it might not be the main topic that people talk mostly online, but there are a lot of evidence that we can learn that they are focusing on this. And we use the ABC principles, which is they understand the consumer behavior. The A is activator, B behavior, and C consequence. There is the trigger point or the activator for people to talk about it. For example, the events that they join or the promotion or the campaigns. And also for behavior, people talk about something that they can do and they cannot do. There are 2 main things that they talk about. And then the consequence of their action of doing that and not doing that. And we will learn the repetitive behavior on that. And if you're ready, I would like to walk you through the 5 solutions that we have gained from the research and social listening. Starting from the first solution, which is less meat consumption. For less meat consumption on social media, there are over 100,000 messages. Around 57% we get from the consumer messages. And mainly there are 2 topics they focus on. The first one is environment. People are more aware and conscious of environment, that they understand that meat consumption affects environment negatively. And they believe that less meat consumption can help save the environment. As you can see here, in the comment, they say that eating or being vegetarian, eating organic food, and no meat at all can help the world and reduce global warming. And the second part is the health part. As you can see in the comment, they say that eating a lot of meat will make their health deteriorate. And they say that the vegetables make them have better digestive system. And also there are some challenges as well in 3 aspects. for health, there are challenges as well. So the consumers feel that eating meat, they feel that they will not gain enough. Less meat consumption might lead to malnutrition, or they will not receive proper amount. And also for affordability and accessibility, they believe that vegan eating or being vegetarian costs more. It's more expensive to not eat meat. And as well as people who are in other provinces, they believe that it's really expensive to be vegan. And last one is the taste. They say basically that it's not delicious. A lot of people say that meat is more delicious than vegetables. And these are the challenges and opportunities for a lot of corporates and companies to respond to these matters. How you can change the perspective of consumers. And for the second solution, which is organic food and farming, there are almost 100,000 messages as well. And there are two similar aspects that they're talking about. The first one is environment. The consumers, and most of us know that organic food and planting organic crops helps the environment because we reduce the use of chemical fertilizers and it's not going to ruin the soil quality. And for the health aspect, we know that eating vegetables is good for the health because we don't consume those chemical fertilizers or any chemical substances. And the social media confirm us that the consumers have these opinions. And also the challenges for this solution, the first one is the price, the affordability, and accessibility. They believe that organic food is more expensive and it's hard to access. And for the product appearance, they feel that the fruit and vegetables, they feel that they must have certain appearances in order to be fresh and good looking. And a lot of times for organic food, we cannot control the appearance of our product. And the third solution that I will be talking about is growing food on your own and urban farming, growing plants and crops in the city. There are around 70,000 messages. And you can see from the diagram, there is pulses. It depends on the event and the increase in price of food products. When there is the increase in price, people will change their minds and behavior and they will feel like they would like to grow their food on their own because they want to save money because it's too expensive to buy. And the positive consequences of growing your own food, the first one is money saving. By growing your own crops or plants or trees, it saves your money. And next one is no chemical use, no chemical substances. And next one is exercise. We can promote exercise and how they can boost their health by planting their own produce. And lastly is how they feel proud of themselves when they can grow their own products or produce. And the challenges here are the growing space and the knowledge. The first one, growing space. The size or the area that is going to take in order to grow their own food. Because some people live in a small size area, such as condos or apartments, they might not have enough space in their accommodation. And the next challenge is knowledge. Because we know that people in the city mostly are middle income and middle class. They might not have enough knowledge and they are not able to successfully plant their own crops because they don't have the understanding of soil quality or water management. It's not easy for some people. It's very challenging for a lot of office workers to grow their own food. And for the next solution, which is food waste management, how we can manage the food waste or food surplus. There are over 70,000 messages, and the consumer messages around 28,000 messages. And what we have gained from that is that people are more awareness, and it's clear that they can sort waste and manage their waste. There are people who sort their waste and some people who do it sometimes. And also we have the campaign of the Bangkok governor. And for the green bag is for the food waste, and for the black bag is for general waste. And a lot of people are more aware because of the governor's campaign. And also there are challenges from this food waste management. There are 4 main challenges. The first one is knowledge. Some people not have enough or proper knowledge to sort waste and how they can put in each bag. And also there might be some misunderstanding because they feel that even though they sort their waste, when the garbage people come to pick up the garbage, they will finally mix everything. And the third challenge is the access to green bag, because some people cannot get green bag. They cannot buy green bag because mostly what they can get from the grocery stores are the black bag, garbage bag. And the next one is ignorance, which is another challenge. It's like, am I the only one who do this? Why don't you do this? And how am I going to affect the environment? I feel like I don't have any impact on the world, so I'm not gonna do it. So this is one of the obstacles and challenges that obstruct or prevent people from understanding this matter and putting these principles into practice. So there might be more events and campaigns to increase the knowledge and how they can manage food waste more effectively. And the last solution that I will be talking about is sustainable food packaging. There are a number of messages that people talk about this. Around 65% of the consumer messages. There are 3 main aspects that they talk about. The first one is environment, which is the environmental impact. A lot of people are aware that when they buy 1 cup of coffee, there will be impact on the environment because of the cup or the packaging or the straw, and they are more aware and conscious of this. Therefore, they do not take those cups or packages anymore. So they tend to bring their own container when they go to cafes. And also they gain some discount if they use their own container. And this is one of the incentives to make them change their behavior. And also there are some challenges and opportunities that should be tapped upon. The first one is straw. I believe that a lot of you think of a turtle with straws. You have that picture in mind. Straw is something that people feel that they don't need. And many times, a lot of consumers, they refuse to take the straws from restaurants or cafes. And the manufacturers and a lot of sellers, they ignore this request to refuse, because in the end they will put it on the table or the server might put it in the bag anyway. So a lot of sellers are not aware of this. And another challenge is delivery app. There are some icon that can be tapped on and say that you don't want to get the cutlery, but a lot of applications, a lot of times the sellers or servers will put it in the bag anyway, even though the consumers say that they don't want. And the next one is package cost. We get it from the food producers, the street vendors, or restaurants owners and servers. They feel that organic products and sustainable products are more expensive. And also the clean water access. They feel that they have to buy the water, and the water is contained in the packaging anyway, a plastic container. So this is one of the challenges. They feel like when they want to refill their water bottle, they would have to buy water, and it's in the plastic bottle anyway, so why am I doing all the good things? And third, I would be talking about case studies. I will be talking about Starbucks. There are campaigns from Starbucks to encourage people to use their own container, and they will get discount. And the consumer feel that they can bring their personal cup, and they are part of the sustainability practices. So this is a very good example. And another case study or example is the OR. It's a retail platform on energy. There is the partnership of Amazon and 𝗚𝗏𝗄, which is the farm-to-table restaurants, and it's a startup. And there is investment and collaboration between these two corporates, and they would like to bring organic food into the main food chain of over 1,000 branches. And we get positive feedback from consumers on this. And the last case study that I will be talking about is the case of Central Patana, which is the real estate industry. And they are able to manage the urban farming, and they take some space in the central property for people to grow crops and food. And they also educate people on how to plant crops and how to manage the food waste better. And these are the main case studies. It's just some examples. It's not everything that we have. And I believe that a lot of corporates have policies on this matter, and they are ready and willing to promote these campaigns and sustainability practices. So I would like to wrap up, and for this social listening part, I feel that I would like to tell you that consumers are aware, and they are ready and willing to support and join activities and participate in events when it's about sustainability and sustainable food value chain. And what they can contribute to us is joining the event. And also, the consumers have problems or some challenges on the subject of accessibility. If we make the price more affordable and make the organic food more affordable, I believe that consumers are ready to take on that. And next, the INTAGE will be talking about market research. We have done survey from around the country. We have done the survey on packaging and less meat consumption, and what we have talked about earlier. So we have 500 participants in our survey across the country. Around 40% from Bangkok, and from other provinces around 60%. And the age range is 18 years old to 60 years old. And we do this survey via an online panel of INTAGE. And this is what we have found, which is very, very interesting. All consumers, they do sustainable activities already, at least something that is easy for them to do in their everyday life. For example, using cloth bags and using less plastic bag. These are something that the consumers are doing regularly. And there are some reasons and why I will be talking about the reasons why they do and they adopt these practices. It is because something about the sellers, not only about the manufacturer or sellers, it's because of their awareness. And also there is about actions on food waste management. They use their personal Tupperware or container when they eat outside, and they consume organic food, and they grow crops on their own. Even though it's not a lot in Thailand, but almost 20% is a good start. And also for reducing meat consumption, there's 12% on this. From everything we have gained, we look deeper into the reasons why they do sustainable actions. You can see that it's mostly about environmental concern. It's not personal at all. So most people feel that sustainability is important in their lives. They think more about the next generation. They think more about their children, the future people, future generation, and they concern more about SDG. And we will talk more about how their actions will lead to the impact on businesses. And also the consumers are closely monitor businesses if they adopt sustainability practices or not. These are something that the consumers are concerned about. Also, we have classified the sustainable consumers. There are 3 main groups. And the first group is the survivor. Mostly the survivor are the Gen Y people, low to middle income. And also they are self-employed, most of them. They are concerned, but they are just the starter. So at least they manage food waste at home. They sort waste. And also they begin doing something that is sustainable activities. And this is interesting that there are no groups from our survey that do nothing about sustainable actions. And also the second group is the developer. There are more on this, especially office workers. There are many generations in this group from middle to high income, and they are more aware and they adopt the sustainability practices more. They use cloth bags, they use reusable plastic bags, and they look at labels before purchasing. They look at how the companies process or manufacture products, and if those companies have sustainability policies or not. And these group are the majority of consumers. And lastly is the passionate group, around 23%. They are highly concerned about sustainable practices. There are in the group from the income range is middle to high income, and they are mostly business owners or office workers. And in Thailand, we know that it's becoming an aging society. I feel that if we want to target this group, it is very, very important because they are passionate kind of consumers. And then we look at business actions that impact consumers' purchase interest. What is the business action that drives them or that draw their interests? The group that is the passionate consumer who are highly concerned, they do not focus on beautifully designed package. Something, as you can see, the rank here is the reasons that they have. the consumers have. So you can see that this is very important for them, the package design. And for the passionate consumer, they do not focus on beautifully designed or that durable, but they want the packaging that is reusable and biodegradable. As for the developer group, as you can see, there's who are the majority of the population. For the packaging is also important for them, but what they're concerned most about is it should be beautiful and durable for some extent. So packaging is very important, biodegradable and reusable. And for the policies and ethics of food business, I would like to focus on the developer, who are mostly office workers who have middle to high income. They are office workers and they are interested in corporate policies and ethics, standards, animals treatment as well. So these are the what they find important. And for the passionate group, they focus on free-range animals, and they focus on legal activities such as legal fishing, and they focus on raw materials as well. While the developer group, they focus on other parts, such as the ethical standards. And for the food nutrition, it is very important for the consumers as well. The right amount of consumption is something that a lot of people are trying to successfully achieve. And mostly all these groups give certain importance to all these topics. And also for the sources of food, they focus on the food that is produced locally or nearby their residence, or seasonal food that can be harvested at certain times. And this can drive their interest. So these are the 4 main things that the consumers expect to achieve. So whether it's packaging, ethics, or sources of food, what I have mentioned earlier, you can see that sustainability is very, very important from the perspectives of consumers. Therefore, it's time that the business developers, business and corporates see this opportunity and take the opportunity to promote and build sustainability and make their businesses outstanding in the future. And next, I would like to talk about some interviews. We have interviewed chain restaurants, food retail, and food delivery services, the 3 main industries. And we asked if they have SCP in their corporates and if they have come across any problems. For every business, they have sustainability practices. For chain restaurants, food retails, and food delivery services, they deal with farmers. They have tapped on the originality of ingredients. They promote the origin of ingredients and selective on vegetables for consumers. And for food retail, they focus on supporting the local crops and many more. As for the food delivery service, they help the local producers. They promote local stores. They forecast demands as well in order to prevent food waste. The insight that we have gained, we have seen the key challenges depending on the sizing. Starting from the big size corporates, they are ready to adopt SCP actions and practices, but the concern is the consumers. They might have to think about the response or the feedback of consumers, and also consumers' acceptance and what they have to trade off with the consumer. And I am sure that the consumers see sustainability as important as well. So a lot of people who are working in this industry in big corporates, you can be sure that the consumers are on the same page. They see the importance of sustainability as well. As for the chain restaurants, there are a lot of restaurants who have problems which might not match sustainability practice, might not match their products and services. For example, the raw material use. Some of the restaurants use raw materials from Seoul place, from Seoul location, and it's hard for them to kind of expand that source of food. And for a small chain of restaurants, there are more challenges in terms of cost and also the technology on forecast or packaging. So they have fewer barriers to negotiate with the suppliers. Since they are small chain restaurants, the cost is very important for them. So these are challenges of theirs. And there's a new business model. A lot of business provides services that is focused on sustainability. They focus on facilities, delivery through motorbike. But for now, there might be some challenges in terms of facilities. So these are some examples that we have learned from the market survey. And what I want to emphasize is that the consumers, you can see the number here, 65% of consumers are concerned about sustainability. And secondly, packaging is a strong and impactful touch point to drive the business and to deliver sustainability value for business. And also, tasty now is not enough. You have to make the food healthy. Healthy is also another important factor for food consumption. And also, policies and ethics are very important for food business as well. And also, local and seasonal foods play part in driving the consumer's perspective into a positive way. So I've talked about packaging, the health benefits, and the other seasonal local products and policy, which are important. And let's go back to the sustainable solutions in agri-food chain. What the business can do, the actions that are appropriate for their businesses and corporates. Just start doing something, because not only do they help create positive image and good reputation for corporates, it's something that the consumers are looking for in corporates and businesses. So therefore, the consumers will be more interested in your brands, and their brands will be on top of their mind when they think about sustainability. So thank you very much. Our moderator today would like our panelists to be on stage now, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. For those of you who join us on Zoom, you can leave your questions in the comments. So there is one question in the ballroom right now. So the insight is very useful for private sectors. And also, what about public sector? Do you further your study, or do you deliver the message to the policymakers or any public sectors in order for them to create public policies on sustainability? So mostly now we focus on consumers. We are now not focusing on public sectors. We believe that in the future, we would have to do a separate study on this. And we see that the trend of sustainability is very obvious in consumers. And I feel that the message from social listening, we see that and we see the possibility, but it's not the focus of our study at the moment. So in the case studies that I have mentioned is the policies that you can consider it to be public policies, such as the policies of the Bangkok governor for sorting waste into green bags and black bags. And you can see that the consumers are ready to follow the policies. And the next step is how they can change the policies and how they can drive consumers to adopt sustainability practices. So we see that if there are actions that consumer can see, if there are actions that they can follow directly, all consumers are willing to do. For example, you can see from the case study when there's the campaign of waste sorting, you can see that a lot of people are eager to join and participate, but there might be some difficulties for them because some people cannot find the green bags when they go to grocery stores. So this is something we have to together solve the problem, and you can use this insight to further do the research or write policies or drive the public sectors. So this is one of the first survey which look into the consumer behaviors. This survey has been conducted for last year, in September last year. As you can see that the trends in consumers, for 65% of consumers are aware of this sustainability practices, which is really a big number. Every sector give importance to this matter, which is a good sign that every sector together drive and want to build sustainability. So there is the beginning and initiative to build sustainability for a lot of sectors. For the public sectors or private sectors, they try to manage food waste. They try to make use of their resources efficiently the most. So there will be another Q&A session at the end of this panel discussion. I would like to invite the panelists of another section onto the stage. We will be talking about business models, and these models are for sustainable agri-food value chains. We will be talking about business models mainly. We have 3 panelists in this session. I would like to invite them onto the stage. But firstly, I would like to say thank you again for Kun Jakkarin and Kun Glad, INTAGE and Wisesight. For the next session, I would like to invite Kun Akkapoj, Wongpuengchai, and also Rattapat 𝗁𝗏𝗏 Kun Rattapat 𝗁𝗏𝗏 is the General Secretary of TOF, and also Dr. Akkapoj Wongpuengchai, who's the Executive Advisor of TOF, and another panelist we have from TDRI, Dr. Kannika 𝗵𝗵𝗹𝗶𝗀𝗏, who is the Senior Research Fellow. So we will be talking about business models for sustainability and sustainable agri-food value chains and how we will get return on investment. And what is the indicator that or the measure that can assess our actions, which will be about social return on investment, or SROI, and Dr. Kannika will tell us about how we can get the return on investment which is beneficial to every part and how it creates social benefit as well. So please give a round of applause to our panelists on the stage. Good morning, everyone. So, Rattapat 𝗁𝗍𝗀 is the General Secretary of TOF, or Thailand Organic Innovation Foundation, and also the FLR 349, which stands for Forest Landscape Restoration, and the 349(3) is for the forest, number of forest, and 4 is the benefits, and 9 is follow the King Rama IX, the king's philosophy. So there are 2 main parts that we would like to talk about farming. We will be talking about maize farming for livestock. As you can see here, that is the first level, and then there will be the crops which is grown in cold climates, and these crops are grown using chemical substances as well, and there might be some forest fire and also the pesticides use. And for the plants which are planted in cold climates have a high tendency of the fertilizers and chemical substance use. And you can see that the number of chemical substances is very, very high. So for the social enterprise that we are doing right now, it is the social enterprise as in business model and profit sharing. We share the profits to the partners who are responsible for forest restoration, which is not included in the public sector. We have foundation to raise the fund, and for the businesses, we use the business or corporates to manage. And how we manage our business, we use the principles of local food, local product. We see that what we want to restore in Chiang Mai, we want the power of consumers in Chiang Mai, of the local people and the tourists in Chiang Mai. And also, we have to think about food value chain. After we restore the forest, we would go into the next step of promoting another job, which is to grow crops. We focus on NBA, natural balance agriculture. We focus on biodiversity, and we focus on food security as well. So the principles is local food. It is consumed in Mae Cham, Chiang Mai mostly. And if there are more amount, their food surplus, they will be sent to the local manufacturers in Chiang Mai as well. For example, the dry herbal plants or some extraction or spa products or food processing and converting into beverages. This is something that we are looking at right now. So we focus and we cooperate with the Department of Forestry. We are operated in 1 tambon, 12 villages in the area of 14 rai. This is our 2nd year of operation. The food value chain that we have operated, we have divided into 3 parts, which are the upstream, midstream, and downstream. So for the upstream level, we cooperate and we have the MOU with the Department of Forestry last week to expand the actions. And for the midstream level, we promote by the help of companies to move or using logistics to distribute products in order to create retail and wholesale type of business and sales. We also cooperate with the Association of Restaurants and Hotels in Chiang Mai in order to make the fresh food onto the table more. And also for the manufacturers or entrepreneurs in Chiang Mai, we also process the plants into spa products such as essential oils, and they can be on sale. We are not only the sellers, but we are the manager of food value chain. So we try to think about how we can distribute the products to various consumers. So this is what we're doing right now. And it is the cooperation in terms of local community. We focus on local food. For 𝗵𝗹𝗻, we cooperate with the municipality in order to create farmer market because we believe that food security is possible if the community has food security. In the level of district, in the level of village, 𝗵𝗛 and 𝗵𝗏, and also there will be more products in Chiang Mai. And we believe that food security is impossible if it's not happening in the level of community. It is impossible to have food security for national level if it's not established in the community level first. So for the farmers who grow their own plants, sometimes they don't consume their own plants. So it might be seasonal. For example, they might plant cauliflower, but they do not have food security because they don't have various types of food that they grow. One thing that we have launched a campaign, which is the egg, and the name of the campaign is Eggs Build Forest. Because in the past we have seen that the substances used to produce egg, it might ruin the forest. But if we promote producing egg using local food to feed the chicken, we feel that it's more sustainable and it's better than having monoculture agriculture. And also for meat consumption. Now we're in a big industry. The area to grow maize takes a lot of space. There are chickens and pigs that we have to feed. They have to be fed with maize and sometimes bananas. And what we want to drive is that if we consume local food, it's not going to impact negatively on the environment. But if we have to grow a lot of food that is not local, that would ruin the environment and the forests of that area. So for the investment of the companies, we have invested for around 1 year. We have planned about the investment policies, and we would like to distribute the products to many consumers and a lot of food chain restaurants in Bangkok and in many places. A lot of manufacturers who process the plants and make tea or beverages. And in around January, we would like to drive and we would like to encourage the consumption of fresh vegetables more. And this is our business plan. And for the business investment plan, I would like Dr. Akkapoj to talk about it further. I am Akkapoj Wongpuengchai, and I am an executive advisor of TOF and in the FLR 349 social enterprise. Before we talk about the business model, I would like to wrap up about this. The success of business chains is possible because of the upstream here. The government and the Department of Forestry and the people who take care of the forests, they allow us to take care of the upstream forest. We come from 𝗁𝗵 Chiang Mai, which is the upstream of the country, and 14% of 𝗁𝗵 accounts for the whole 𝗁𝗵𝗹𝗶𝗃 or 𝗁𝗹𝗃 River. We wouldn't claim that our technology is biotechnology, but it's about the microbial and natural balance agricultural. We use the good microbial to enhance the quality of soil, and it helps enhance the soil. They help increase the quality of soil and also create more biodiversity. And for the midstream here, especially through the support of WWF, we try to encourage consumers to buy vegetables that is not destroying the environment. The vegetables are locally grown. And also the fruit and the crops, for example, coffee beans and cocoa, it's part of the project. It's not dangerous and it's not destructive to the forest. It's locally grown, and the government allow us to harvest, and then we do the egg that builds the forest, and we expand the area of forestation. And next we collect, aggregate, and then process. We have processing facilities at Farm Lab. We have coffee bean roasting factory, chocolate factory, egg packing factory. And what about the business model? How are they successful? So the success comes from the downstream as well. So if there's support from upstream and midstream, but without support of downstream, that will be the end. That would not be successful. Therefore, the FLR 349 SE is possible and will be successful depending on the downstream level of these value chain. There must be demand from the startup, there will be top products, and these are the journey of our success. So that's the key factor. And what has to be done further to create market for natural balance agriculture products? As you can see, the FLR SE, or the Forest Landscape Restoration Social Enterprises, we have to create a marketplace for NBA products, natural balance products, Natural balanced agriculture products should promote forest building with a modern and fair value chain management system. So what has to be done? There's so many more. As for the initial investment here, for the upstream level in part of the agriculture, the FLRSE is not invested in this part, but we buy the raw ingredients, the raw materials, the coffee beans and vegetables. We buy them. We buy them and turn them into the processing process, put them in the processing process in the factory. So there are many more. There's a long way to go, and we welcome all support from every part. As you can see here, the initial investment is around 21 million baht. As for the NPV, it's around over $1 million. But what's interesting is the IRR is 48%. And I would like to thank you all for the support and financial assistance. We have calculated. At first, Mr. Rattapat told me, how can we buy the products from the local producers at a high price? How can we do that? And how can we sell it to the consumers in a low price? It's possible because we don't have the middleman, and also we are social enterprise, so it's possible to buy expensive but sell less expensive. So if you want to help us create and build forests, create careers, and build sustainability in the life, you're always welcome to join us. As you can see that if you support us, you will support sustainability in Thailand. As you can see that this is the business model that has been calculated already. The return of investment is 48%, so that's a lot. So the food that builds forests, it can build profits to every sector. But not only that, we have Dr. Kannika from TDRI, and it's not only the profits that we get. That's not the only thing. We don't get only the benefits, but also the social return of investment. I am not from TDRI, Thailand Development Research Institute. First, I have talked to Mr. Rattapat a lot about investment on social enterprises and on the forest landscape restoration and how we can promote the agriculture that is environmentally friendly. So most people would focus on the financial return of investment, but actually there is another kind of return, such as social return on investment. For example, if we take a look at what Dr. Rattapat mentioned already, the upstream, midstream, and downstream levels, there will be the changes in behavior and practices. We plant more seasonal food and fruit, use less chemical substances, and these factors have a positive impact on the farmers, and there are also impacts on other aspects. This is why we can't measure and calculate the social return on investment in terms of money and numbers. So this is what TDRI, or Thailand Development Research Institute, are focusing on. We want to measure the SROI in terms of numbers. So this tool, what is it? It is a tool that is developed, and this tool is created especially for social enterprises and social projects. One of the first projects that use SROI is a project that involves unemployed people or ex-criminals, ex-con, people who just get out of jail, and the projects help these people have opportunities in their career. And we use this indicator to measure the social return on investment. But what is the main principle? It's the value judgment process. So the stakeholders, or all participants, people who are involved in this project, they will reflect on the outcome and the changes, how the changes occur and what changes occur. And as an economist and a researcher, I can help them convert those changes that they believe they have into numbers that is measurable. So the key thing here is the stakeholder reflection on their changes. And the principles of SROI, there are 7 principles. The key principle of SROI is, you can see that there are various stakeholders. There are farmers, businesses, or partners, a lot of partners. There are outcome and changes in a large number. But the principle of SROI is to include the outcome that is material, that is tangible, that is significant. So the outcome that is repetitive, we exclude that. The outcome that is insignificant, we exclude that as well. We focus mostly on transparency, on measuring, something that can be, everything can be traced, everything can be investigated. When we calculate the SROI, there are researchers who help us verify and validate every process. So as you can see, that transparency is very, very important, and we give a lot of importance to. I would like to talk more about the processes more. We have the meetings with stakeholders in Madam area, and we invited the municipalities, we invited partners, WWF, or the bank, or the Department of Forestry, and also 𝗚𝗏𝗄 restaurant. The owner of restaurants also involved in this reflection on the outcome that actually happened. And after that, we have the outcome mapping. We develop an outcome mapping. We ask every stakeholders and partners on how they invest or what they do in this project in terms of monies or time or the effort or the resources that they use, such as the resources that the municipality have to pay for. We document everything and we develop an outcome mapping. And also we ask them what changes occur. And then the researchers have to determine the indicators and financial proxies for each outcome. Because for some examples, the farmers say that they feel that their health improves because they use less chemical. They use fewer chemical substances, and they feel that the relationship within their household improves as well. And these are the outcome that is intangible and cannot be calculated, but it's something that should be taken into consideration as well. So we use these outcomes and we determine the indicators and the criteria for each outcome. And then we have to think about financial proxies for each outcome. And how can we turn something that is intangible into numbers? So we have to determine the indicators and financial proxies, and then we have to do survey. You have to go back to the area of survey. We have to survey the sub-district and the municipalities, and also 𝗚𝗹𝗄 restaurants, and also the TOF as well. We also do a survey in front of 𝗚𝗹𝗄 restaurants in Siam area. We ask the consumers, we ask them if they feel proud of themselves since they also promote and become part of this sustainability promotion development, and also if they feel that their health improves after consuming these products. And also we talk about the staff from each partner and each sector if they feel proud of themselves to be part of this project. And what is important that has to be taken into consideration is that there are other projects in that area. We also ask the stakeholders to think about the dead weight or the attributions or the credits from other projects that they are operating. And also, what about the dead weight? Even though there are no projects in this area, will there be these outcomes even without their projects? So they have to consider dead weight and attributions in the area. And lastly, we have to collect data from the partners. At that time, there are 7 partners. How they invest in the project, how much they invest in the project in terms of monies and in terms of something that is not money, something that is intangible. And then we have to convert this number here, the SROI. We have to think about the present value of benefits divided by present value of costs that every partners have to have. And then we will get the number of SROI. After that, when we survey the area, there are many stakeholders from many parts. There are farmers, the municipality staff, officials, or the consumers who buy and consume produce and products from these projects. Even restaurants, for example, 𝗚𝗹𝗄 restaurant, we have 𝗁𝗿𝗃 as well. We interview the restaurant owners and we ask them how food sources from the origin of the food sources. How does getting food from the original sources benefit their companies? So the reported changes that we have learned for the consumers, they feel that their physical health improved from the consumption of safe food. As well as for farmers, they believe that their physical health improves. They have better farm management knowledge because there are trainings and they are educated on farm management knowledge as well. And also, what is surprising is that they feel that their family relationship improves because they feel that they have time for family more and they can spend time with their family members more. As for the local administrative officers, their staff say that they have better knowledge and there are decrease in environmental rehabilitation costs. And for the consumers and restaurants and project partners, they have goodwill and satisfaction. And for the government, they feel that they can do the carbon sequestration and lower medical costs, which is due to the improvement of physical health of consumers and farmers. That's why the government can spend less on the medical costs of the population. And for the planting trees helps with carbon sequestration because the soil can absorb carbon dioxide more. So in the project, we take into consideration these outcomes in order to turn that into measurable benefits. As for the costs, at that time, there are around 7 partners. We have Thai Agricultural Innovation, WWF, Rajamangala University of Technology Lan Na, BAAC, Okaju Restaurant, Central Group, and 𝗵𝗹𝗻 cooperatives. And finally, we calculate and we get the number of present value of benefits, which will be divided by the present value of cost or investment. And the SROI, or the rate of return, is 8.3%, which means that every 1 baht which is invested in the project will create social return. So every 1 baht can have social return accounted for 8 baht. So that's 8 times of social return of investment. So normally SROI analysis we do not provide service to serve any particular private companies, but we would like to do this analysis because in the past for the organic or the forestation restoration project, there are a lot of surveys and projects, but we don't have the social return of investment analysis before. So we see that this is a very good model in order to be replicated for other projects who want to focus on agriculture or organic food. So this is one of the resources that help other researchers who want to use this model or indicators, financial proxies, and the analysis to use in their projects in the future. So this is what I would like to wrap up from the analysis of SROI. So thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to our panelists. We see a clearer picture since the first session. We saw the trends, gaps, and opportunities, and now we see the business models. And not only is it beneficial to the environment, but it's also beneficial to the society. It builds sustainability into the agri-food value chains, and not only the costs that we have understood before. Normally, we would focus on financial aspect, but now we can see that the trend that the cost can be turned into benefits here in terms of social return of investment. So before we move on to the next session, if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. For those of you who listen on Zoom right now, you can send your questions. You can write your questions in the comments.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's very impressive with the.
So we have a question from our ballroom here. The question is being asked in English, so you can switch the main audio.
Well, back to the questions, I think I wonder whether part of the assessment also looking at the displacement that is happening within the target area, which I don't think it's happening looking at the outcomes. And second point is it would be also informative as well if the outcomes of the environmental impact it's also being shared, which I'm sure it's also being measured or has been measured before, because I see that the project has those economic, social, and also environmental elements, such as the biodiversity, for example, or mention a bit about the sequestered carbon, like how much it is in the calculation quantitatively. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. For the displacement, we do include that in the analysis.
The question and answers is in English, so you can switch to main audio at the moment.
Like the percent of displacement has been taking place, i.e. like whether like the benefit that happened within the project like causing negative impact elsewhere, right? This one, like the stakeholders like mentioned to the research team that there is no displacement happening. So we have been taking care of that. The second point that you asked about like the environmental impact, like we do only capture about like the carbon sequestration. But one of the limitations of the study was we didn't like calculate the biodiversity like benefits that has been happening under the projects. Yeah.
Let me add a bit on the environmental evaluation. Actually, yes, you are right. We should do more scientifically, but because of the landscape, it's at that time it's a starting point. So we kind of modeling in terms of the environmental impacts. But at least for sure, which it will come in the next session, when you hear about carbon sequestration, it will be there for sure. And second, I think it is clear that the model that FLR 3.9 have been doing, it's the agroecology, which is a mix of plantation and things like that. So by theory, it's already improved biodiversity, and then this is doing in the organic way. That means we remove all hazardous to the environment and to wildlife. So this, in theory, would, of course, build into more sustainable in terms of the environment.
Yes, happy to hear that, because I'm sure more good stories will come out from the work that you all do. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. โอเคครับ แล้วมีคำถามจากออนไลน์นะครับ มีอยู่2คำถามครับ ผลลัพธ์กับกลุ่มเกษตรกรผลตอบแทนด้านการเพิ่มขึ้นของรายได้ถูกรวมอยู่ใน benefit ใช่ไหมคะ ใช่ค่ะ แล้วก็ตัวนี้เป็น evaluative หรือ forecastative คะ
อันนี้เป็นการประเมินหลังจากเกิดโครงการไปแล้วนะคะก็คือเรามีการหลักการก็คือเราเมื่อกี้ถามเรื่องรายได้เกษตรกรดีขึ้นเนี่ยเราวัดยังไงก็คือมีการเก็บข้อมูลก่อนเข้าร่วมกับหลังเข้าร่วมนะคะแล้วก็เรามีการ document change ที่มันเกิดขึ้นเพราะฉะนั้นที่เมื่อกี้นั้นเล่าให้ฟังว่ามีการลงไปเซอร์เวย์กลุ่มเกษตรกรในพื้นที่แม่แจ่มด้วยที่เข้าร่วมโครงการนะคะตรงนี้เลยทำให้เราทราบได้ว่าแบบรายได้ของเกษตรกรแน่นอนอันนี้มันไม่ได้สวยหรูนะคะตอนช่วงต้นเนี่ยแน่นอนการที่เราเปลี่ยนจากการทำเกษตรแบบที่ใช้สารเคมีเยอะมาทำเป็นพวกเกษตรที่เป็นออร์แกนิกมันต้องมีการพักพื้นที่เพื่อพักแปลงปลูกอะไรพวกนี้เพราะฉะนั้นช่วงต้นเนี่ยถ้าลงไปเก็บข้อมูลทันทีแน่นอนมันยังไม่มีตัว return กลับเข้ามาตัวรายได้ของเกษตรกรที่บอกว่าเพิ่มขึ้นมันจะมาเพิ่มขึ้นในช่วงที่แบบผ่านไปแล้ว2 ถึง 3 รอบการเพาะปลูกนะคะอันนี้ก็คือถามว่ามีการ account เรื่องนี้ไหมก็มีการเก็บข้อมูลเรื่องนี้นะคะส่วนที่2ถามว่าเป็น evaluative หรือเป็น forecastative ก็คือเราเก็บแบบที่เป็นข้อมูลจริงก็คือไม่ได้เป็นการ predict ไปข้างหน้าแต่ว่าเก็บจากข้อมูลที่มันเกิดขึ้นจริงค่ะ
คำถามข้อต่อไปนะครับเดี๋ยวขอคุณรัฐพัฒน์เติมครับขอโทษครับ
ข้อมูลเพิ่มเติมนะจริงๆทาง TDRI ไปเนี่ยเมื่อประมาณปีที่แล้วปีกว่าแล้วนะ2 ปีแล้วนะแต่ช่วงนั้นเนี่ยผลผลิตที่เกิดขึ้นจะมีเฉพาะกลุ่มพืชผักนะฮะแต่ปัจจุบันนี้เราดำเนินการผ่านมา2 ปีเรามีกาแฟ เกิดขึ้นในพื้นที่เป็นผลิตภัณฑ์กาแฟเรามีรายได้ที่เกิดจากการปลูกผักแต่ว่าปรับมาเป็นในโรงเรือนอยู่ที่2โรงเรือนประมาณ360ตารางเมตรแต่ว่าสามารถสร้างรายได้ปีหนึ่งประมาณ 80,000 กับ 90,000 บาทเรามีผลผลิตที่เกิดขึ้นจากกลุ่มสมุนไพรเรามีโกโก้เรามีเรื่องไข่ไก่นะฮะเรามีผลผลิตที่เกิดขึ้นในหลากหลายมากนะฮะหลากหลายมากในขณะเดียวกันเนี่ยเราก็เริ่มศึกษา
We study about the crops, the economic crops, and also the coffee beans, which we think that we have the ability to expand into over 1,000 rai, and also other plants that can be extracted and turned into essential oils. So I believe that a lot has been changed in the present. So there are questions from online as well. The online participants would like us to give some more examples. The qualitative changes that have happened in the community. Something that can help boost the development of sustainability. So this is one of the impacts in terms of qualitative impacts. And for now, we haven't converted this impact into numbers. So we have published one paper, one study. We calculate the benefits on relationships and pride. So now we have financial proxies. What I have told you is that this is just the model for other projects to replicate. So in the future, there will be more indicators of impacts. I would like to add on the SROI from what I have helped Mr. Rattapat to write and have the business plan. How we can set the price for the organic vegetables. How can we sell vegetables in the same prices, even though our farming methods are more delicate and complex? So what makes me happy and feel better is that the SROI is over 8%. So we can see that we can have social return of the investment. So that's why we cut out the middleman and we turn this business model into social enterprises. That's why we have social inclusiveness, social inclusion, and we have to train and educate local people. We have to make them, the local people, not become just slaves, and how we can help them gain more return. So you can see that the SROI at that time, there were no coffee beans, no cocoa, no chicken project. So we could only see that number of SROI. So we feel that we have to take a look at the food value chain and we have to see what we can cut out, and that can make us more return. And also we have to upscale the project. So for this project can be used for businesses, but I would recommend to be for social enterprises. So this is the model that can be replicated. Everyone who's in this room or everyone who's watching online, anyone who's watching the video, I would like you all to adopt something that we have learned, some indicators that we have set, we have determined in order to expand the survey expand the findings and help each other build sustainability into agri-food value chains. So before we move on to the next session, I would like to inform everyone who is here with us today, there is a break in front of the room here. So it's in front of the room here. Let's take a 3-minute break. I have to apologize for the inconvenience for the people who participate online. Let me ask everyone to take a 3-minute break so the people in the room can go out and yes, for the bio break. This is bio break, and we will be back soon. Thank you very much. For the third session of today, we'll be focusing on digital tools for low carbon business operations. We have 3 panelists from 3 sectors here. We have Mr. Thirach Rungruangkanokkul, and who is the Executive Director of AFMA, or the Agricultural and Food Marketing Association for Asia and the Pacific. Please give him a round of applause. He will be talking about sustainability to profitability, active carbon credit digital platform for carbon neutrality. And our next panelist here is Dr. Praphatsorn Punsompong, who is a specialist in spatial data and remote sensing data from Thaicom Public Limited Company. And next, we have Louis-Alban Batard-Dupre, who is the CEO and co-founder of 𝗁𝗍, which is an application on a food surplus. He will be sharing with us about a food surplus rescue app designed to match Bangkok residents with environmentally conscious restaurants, grocery stores, and cafes to combat food waste. So please give them a round of applause. Let's begin with Kun Thirach first. Kun Thirach is introducing himself in English right now. He said that he's an Executive Director of AFMA.
The future food, I think the topic today is about future food, and there are some information, those are quite interesting. Thailand is the net food exporter number 13 in the world. We do such a very good job. But we rank number 40 in terms of affordability. We rank 50 in terms of natural resources and resilience. Listed number 59 on availability and affordability. And listed number 73 in terms of food safety. So I guess that this number tells us a lot, and it's not only happening in Thailand. Or I would say Asian country would share very much the same situation, and there are much more than just climate action. Today, I'd like to share with you about different kind of carbon credits. It's about the climate action. Hold on a second. ได้ครับ Okay yes ผมคลิกที่เครื่องที่ไหนที่นี่นะ Okay yes so I guess first of all let me define what does it mean by sustainability for profitability. We've been talking a lot about sustainability, and it's the new mega trend. But profitability, we are not only saying whether it's only financial profit, but we also like to define it more on the social and environmental profit, in which I think the previous panelists already shared with you about this. And it's about when we invest on something, we should get a good return. Doesn't mean that it has to be in terms of money alone, but how could we make it more interchangeable and measurable? As the climate action is the mega trend, but it's only one single dimension. And by achieving the climate resilience or achieving the carbon credits, it's not only about just getting the CO2 or greenhouse gas and then put under the ocean and then it's done. Because different carbon credit coming from different sources may have different quality. So the active carbon credits in our term means that the carbon credit that's still functioning, they're still giving the benefits to the environment, to the soil, to the biodiversity. So it's about the integrated value that also include environmental return on investment and social return on investment that could also be transferred or interchange with the return on investment. We all know that the soil is the one of the, it can sequester the CO2 more than the land or more than all kind of woods, even 2-3 times. But how could we quantify this? How could we just number this and be able to trade or be able to bring the benefit or make the invisible become visible? This is one of the projects that we've been working with. We work about 5,800 farming families. It's about ending hunger, ending poverty. The average income from this project is about 1.8 million baht per families. That's definitely above the poverty line. And beyond that, once we achieve SDG 1, then it's about equalities. It's about biodiversity. And on this, I heard that there are some attendants asked about whether how should we measure the biodiversity. This one is not only about how many insects do they get, the bees and also honey, wildlife, and all of these as the indicators. Then it's also SDG 15, and also the water treatment, in which is very the whole they get some energy from the water, from the treatment, and then eventually they are able to manage the water and then to maintain and also to get some benefits out of it as well. And this one to show that this particular project is also ending hunger, because in the farm they get morning glory, they get honey, they get all kinds of flowers. And I would say that in the past, 50, 60 years ago, Asian countries, we consume more on the fiber, vegetable, and flowers, more than consuming the since Ayutthaya era, we consume less on the meat. And it's like many other countries that they consume more on the meat when they get more money. And other than that, also the biomass from this project is being collected and then treated to get some bioenergy. So in this sense, it's about SDG 12 and also SDG 7. They are pretty much self-sustained in terms of energy usage. And if we look at the Thailand map, we'll see that carbon credits is about organic matters. And from the on the left-hand side, you see that in different areas you have different organic matters. Some are pretty low and some are pretty high. And from this, it presents two different opportunities. The one that is high, meaning we start with a very good asset. And the one that is very low also is very good in terms of we can add in the organic matters, biochars and all. And biochar again is part of the biomass, in which when we put all a holistic approach together, we do not only achieving the climate action, but also we will get other SDG as well. And in this sense, in this case, you see that the southern part of Thailand, some area, the soil carbon sequestration for the carbon credits, it's up to 8 metric ton equivalent per rai, or about 50 metric tons per hectare. And on the right-hand side is about the agroecology. They're planting coffee together with the big trees and also different kind of fruits. And by doing this, they reduce the agrochemicals. They get more of the soil. They achieve soil enrichment, biodiversity ตัวห้ามตัวเบียน or predator that they can control the whole ecosystem as well. So we can kind of list out some benefits in terms of environmental benefits. That is about biodiversity, is about carbon sequestration. We can list out the social benefits because it brings a better education quality. They bring, like the more opportunity for family to live together. And in some sense, they also bring the good air quality. In that area, the PM 2.5 only 10 or lower, in which there are a lot of research saying that for palm trees or all kind of trees, it will refine, it will bring the fresh air to the communities. And in this sense, it's also another return on investment. So the key is that how could this active carbon credit platform become traceable, become transparent, and also trustable? Because it has to be the whole chain. It has to be traceable. It's not only about bringing one carbon credit from A to B, but it's also about telling that that carbon credit also contains how many lives, how many kind of insect, what kind of air quality altogether. Then for the buyer, they don't only just paying the carbon tax or sin tax, but also it's about linking and networking with the communities. There are some challenges as well because right now here in Thailand, you see that very limited number of the smallholders to be part of these carbon credits because its cost prohibited. They have to pay about 100,000 baht for third party to certify their farm. Then they have to sell their farm to get carbon credits. That's not possible. Then this is one of the challenge methodologies. Some indicator, those are already available, but it's not all together. And it's about achieving GDP, not quality of life. And that's how the big corporates would achieve better in terms of getting a better GDP, in which is very easily to identify, and many other challenges. But it's possible because the good quality carbon credit already there, biodiversity already there. We just make invisible become visible and traceable. So these are some of the solutions that to be able to develop the platform that are able to trade, in which also not only to get the good quality of the carbon credit, but also to get a good quality and mindful buyers. It's about connecting between sustainable supply to sustainable demand. And that's how the digital platform get involved. And I give you, for example, we are working on some sustainable and carbon neutral conference in which all the attendants can eventually get their certificate. They pay for their chair. And I mean, even on this session, and I think all of us, we should pay for the carbon footprint that we create, right? And it's only less than 2% of the whole budget. This with the technology is about carbon sequestration methodology in which we are working with. I mean, the methodology already there. The way how to measure, how to encrypt is already there, together with the blockchain technology. This one, just as I would say, a showcase or a model that we are working with about 10,000 hectares that belong to community and different families. If we only sell this carbon, its price at the 40 euro, then this project already earned extra 1.8 million euro easily. And it's not only about getting financial rewards. It's about they reduce the NPK. Because when they enrich the soil, they don't need that much of the NPK, and NPK can end up in the ocean, and it will increase the ocean acidification, soil acidification as well. There are many related SDG along this value chain, and for social value that I already mentioned. So basically, this would be the a showcase that I think it's very much replicable and scalable. And as we all know that it say in business world said, to solve the social and environmental problem, the best way is to use business model because it's scalable, it's replicable, and there are good incentive. But how could we let the people who produce the greenhouse gas to be a little bit more accountable? Let the consumer become more realistic. And as the previous panelists already share about direct trade, once we do direct trade, we can easily reduce the cost. It's not that when we do this, we'll add the burden to the consumer. We actually can pay more to the farmer and also to charge less for the consumer. And I guess that that's basically the model that we like to share with you. Thank you so much.
ที่ร้านมานะครับก็เดี๋ยวเราจะวนกลับมาอีกรอบ
So there will be a Q&A after this session as well. But next, I would like to invite Dr. Praphatsorn to be sharing with us. Dr. Praphatsorn from Thaicom Public Limited Company. So she will be presenting about digital platform to support forest landscape restoration, agroecological food system transformation, and resilient communities. So Thaicom is part of the developing the platform to collect data and create a database to serve the data and information, and as well as create scenario for FLR 349. We see that it is very successful, but how can we expand and build upon that? How can we upscale and monitor one by one, which might be difficult? Therefore, digital platform or technology using satellites images is also enable us to expand and build upon the previous existing business models. So in order to move further, in order to go past monoculture, what do the farmers get? We will be talking about monoculture and agroforestry inside farms as well. I will be talking about our platform and what benefits will you get from our platform and what can be further done with this platform and how you can use the satellite images and how is it involved with carbon credit and blockchain and the products and the carbon footprint as well. So there's an infographic here, as you can see. Our project, we built upon the FLR 349. First, we start with the monoculture, which has low biodiversity and a lot of chemical inputs to the soil. And it causes air pollution after the forest fire or after we burn the crops. So we can calculate this by the satellite images. And we can learn about the emission rate of each crop after we burn them. So when we change the intensive monoculture into another type of agriculture or agroforestry inside farms. So we take a look at in the past when there was monoculture, and we see that if there is a change into agroforestry inside farms, what changes will occur? So from the empty area, we built bananas and then we built other plants and trees. So for the trees, in order to grow, or crops, it will take many years, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. But for bananas, when we plant bananas, we can increase the soil quality because it can also make the soil enhanced. And there will be more nutrients in the soil once we plant bananas. And also there will be more moisture. And we can use satellite images to measure on this. And we also look at the index, the green index here. From the monoculture, we can see that the area might be dry. There might not be a lot of trees. It's sparsely located. It's sparsely distributed. However, when we turn into agroforestry, there will be densely distributed, the trees. And also, we ask the local people to give us input into the platform. And this platform can connect every dot because we have the database from the images and from the local people input. And also, it can create we can trace the products and we can trace the chemical use, which will in turn destroy the environment. So for the forest, or after it is restored, all this information can be traced. We can take a look and check the progress in every step. We use the biomass index of the tree, we look at the height, we look at the width, we look at the carbon sequestration of the tree as well. So the farmers will get income from the trees. Apart from the tree giving us shade, farmers can use the trees to get carbon credit. And also the plants or the trees such as coffee beans and cocoa, which are crops, and it's something that the farmers can also put in the database as well, and we can calculate on that. And also in each area, we can calculate how much carbon credit or how much revenue we can gain. And this is the overall of how we use technology in this matter. And also, I went to one place and I saw chicken, and then I saw that they plant bananas. And I wonder, why do they plant banana trees? So the reason is because they use the banana grown to feed the chicken, and also the chicken didn't smell at all because they consume local food, and that surprised me a lot. So I think that is really good, and I think it's important that we take a look at the benefits of using this technology. The farmers and communities will gain long-term income, and also their health improve, and they will become happier and have better well-being. The family relationship improves, and people returns to their hometown. There will be less urbanization. As for the corporates, we take a look at the products of each places. So each product has their unique characteristics. For example, the coffee bean of this area is fruity, but for coffee in this area has a different smell. So this is what make us able to manage the uniqueness of each area, and we can distribute this into the marketplace. And also for the seasonal products, we can manage the supply chain, the logistics. And also, like another panelist has mentioned as well, we can cut out the middleman and we can reduce the cost, and then we can calculate the new number and we can put that into the marketplace, and this makes the product fresh and accessible and affordable to consumers. So we can use this platform to monitor and manage everything. And also, of course, we have a lot of environmental benefits. There's lower pollution and the mitigation or reduction of carbon sequestration, soil microbial activity, which help increase the soil quality as well. So this is the mock-up of our platform. And you can see what will be done if we have completed this. As you can see, there will be investors of each part. So each part can monitor their own area. So this is a dashboard that summarizes the overall data. For example, if there are 3 areas, in the future, when the trees grow, how much carbon sequestration can they have? And also how many products from agriculture, this can be monitored. And we point or click into each area, you can see the report on the environmental benefits or the impact on the society and the environment. So this is what we have been doing. So this is the area that the FLR has operated, and there are around 3 to 4 villages who put their farms into the database of ours, and we can monitor at the moment that this area they're planting the trees, this areas they plant banana trees, this area they planted something but it's too dry or they have forest fire. This is something that we help us in order to solve the problem. For example, if it's too dry, the soil is too dry, we have to come up with a solution to have better irrigation system, how we can supply water to that area, how we can make the trees grow. And this is something that the platform can support us in terms of FLR 349. Thank you very much. So this is a platform. This is actually the concept of the platform that will be real in the future. So this is the model still developing here. And this is how we see this is it shows us that we can use technology in order to build sustainability as well. So we talk already about production, the upstream level, and then one thing that is also important is the consumer part or the downstream level. How can consumers participate in sustainable consumption? So food waste and food loss is also important in this matter. I believe that a lot of us have consumed something and maybe we have food waste, whether it's from consumption or production when we cook or when we eat. So today we have our panelist, Mr. Louis-Alban, who's the CEO of an application called 𝗁𝗐. He will be sharing with us today.
I hope you're not too hungry.
Kun Louis is presenting in English, so you can switch to the main audio.
In Bangkok that was redistributing food to people in need. And it woke me up to the massive scale of the food waste problem we have in our society. So I started researching and trying to understand why are we wasting so much food and what can we do about it. And so I created 𝗁𝗐 as a solution to reduce food waste. My name is Louis, I'm the founder and CEO. The food waste problem might be even bigger than what you think. we are talking about 1 billion tons of food wasted every single year on the planet. Right? We're talking about the plastic issue in Thailand, but if you look at our trash in Bangkok, 64% is actually organic waste. Right? And only 2% is properly recycled. Food waste is having 3 major problems on our society. The first one is a business merchant problem. Business retailers are losing $1 billion every single day. Bakery, hotel, supermarket, food supplier. Food prices are hitting records. Why? Because when you throw away 40% of what you produce, someone somewhere is losing money, so is increasing prices to recover and avoid losses, right? Our food prices have gone up by 40% over the last 10 years. So today, we're talking about it before, healthy food, organic food, vegan food is getting more and more expensive. And last but not least, and what people usually are not so aware of, is the environmental impact of throwing away so much food. Because when you throw away food, you're also throwing away the work of the farmers, the water that has been used, the gas that has been used to transport, the electricity to transform, manufacture, refrigerate all that food. So today, food waste is 10% of our greenhouse gas emission. So how do you grasp that? Food waste is 4 times more polluting than the airline industry. This is a massive problem for our planet. So what did we do to fight this issue, right? Sorry. So I created Yindi. Sorry. Yindi is a solution for unsold food surplus. So basically, we will connect you as a customer through a mobile application to local restaurants, bakery, hotels, supermarkets that have extra food at the end of the day, high quality food, perfectly edible, but that they just cannot sell because they have to close their doors and maybe they won't keep it for the next day, right? And we're selling that food at 40, 60, 70, up to 80% off, right? And what I love about this project, it's a win-win-win model. It helps merchants improve their bottom line, so get revenues instead of making losses. It's a way for you as a customer to get access to high-quality food at a fraction of the price. And by doing that, we all together are fighting for a greener planet. So as a consumer, how does it work? You download the app, right? It's a sustainable alternative to your traditional food delivery app. And what you will receive is a mystery bag, a surprise box made of the unsold inventory of the day, right? Why? Because for merchants, it's hard to anticipate what they won't sell, right? And our customers are calling it a happy box, right? I think it's very funny. It's yeah, it's a way you feel proud, you're doing something good, but at the same time you feel smart because you're getting the best prices in the market. So this is something that we're really, really proud to have achieved. So we're talking here, sorry, just to about 100,000 Bangkokians are using the app today. On the merchant side, it's very interesting as well because, of course, there is an environmental impact, right? And so it can help them improve their branding. And we know that 9 out of 10 consumers are now preferring sustainable brand. So that's very important for the branding. But it's also a business model, right? They are increasing profitability. And that's super, super important. And for small shops, it's also a way to get discovered and find new customers. So we have been able to onboard more than 200 stores, and we're really, really proud of that. So it's a lot of small merchants, small farmers that have joined the platform, but we've been able over the last year to onboard some of the major food retailers, ThaiBev, PTTOR, Central Group, The Mall, as well as a lot of five-star hotels from Accor, Marriott, or Centara. And why is it super important? Because we have to change mentalities, right? Yesterday, I was talking with the general manager of an international bakery chain that told me that he prefers to throw away the food, right, rather than discount it. And when you think about it, you're like, this is a very old way of thinking about the food, right? They prefer to not do anything about food waste because they are kind of scared that it might impact their branding, right? And what they don't understand is the sustainability wave that is arriving. Consumers are changing their mindset. They want more sustainability. Wisesight just showed that actually food waste management is now being talked a lot on social media. And now all food brands have to change, and we cannot keep throwing away 40% of everything that we produce. This is not sustainable. So I'm very excited that some of our partners are now going on TV or going on the media to talk about how we're reducing food waste together. And this is something that we care. With Gourmet Market, we've been reducing by 70% their food wastage on fruits and vegetables. Centara Hotel by 50% their bakery items. So we are having a positive impact, and we're really, really proud about that. We have saved more than 30,000 meals last year, and we're talking about 75 tons of equivalent carbon that we saved. This is 160,000 bottles of water that have been kind of rescued, if you want about it. And there's an incentive for people and businesses. We're talking about 5 million Thai baht that our users have been saving, right? So this is an incentive, of course, but we're driving the change. And that's part of our mission and vision. It's to create awareness and empower people to tackle food waste and help save the planet. Maybe it's kind of a first step for a lot of people to become more sustainable at home, right? And the cool part is you get really good deal, right? So I think it's something that we see a lot of people coming because they want deals and they're used to their other application when they have a lot of discount. And here we're telling them, hey, this is not a marketing discount. This is a purpose-driven discount. If you don't save that food, it will end up in the trash, right? And I think that's something that people now care more and more. And we thought that it was not enough to only talk to consumers and only talk to food businesses. So we have started a We Save Food campaign for corporates and schools, where we talk about the responsibility to reduce food waste with employees. So we were at Agoda, we were recently at Pomelo giving speeches, organizing surplus breakfast, or organizing talks with the employees on the importance of reducing food waste. Why? Because food waste is not only the responsibility of the customer once they buy the food, it's not only the responsibility of the producers or the retailers, it's our all responsibility. We are losing food all the way through the supply chain, and it's important that everyone is aware that this is the next big thing we have to tackle if we want to reduce climate change. Thank you very much. One small box, one big step.
So is this hotel participates in the...
Not yet. Not yet.
Where is the manager? โอเคขอบคุณมากๆนะครับก็เดี๋ยวเรามาถึงช่วงสุดท้าย
Thank you very much, Mr. Louis. So, this is the last session of our panel discussion. Before we move on to the Q&A session, the roundtable session, are there any questions for these panelists? Feel free to ask, and for online as well. If you have questions for our panelists, feel free to leave us the comments. I would like to ask about the satellite images. Do you work with VERLA or Thai standards or other international standards? So we have proposed this project since we use the remote sensing. we have contacted the public sectors. They are now setting some standards of this technology use. So we are now actually waiting for the results and for the clear procedures of how the public sector will set. So we might have to wait until next year in order to be able to know what standards we can work under. And also for 𝗲𝗏, we are working with another team as well. So do we have to set the baseline for the year that we want to study? So we can use the satellite images of the year we do the study, and also we use machine learning to assess the carbon credit in each area. And we use the satellite images here. Are there any limitations on which area that can we go in or cannot? So there are some limitations because each forest have their unique characteristics. So there are differences in terms of density and biodiversity in each forest. So the approach we take has to be different as well. I believe that for the biosphere and also the agrosphere, the lithosphere, or under the ground, we have to take a look at both. So I think these are some ideas that we have to integrate everything into one platform. So there will be data about what's on the ground and what's under the ground on the biosphere and the lithosphere. And what we focus on now, we don't focus on only carbon credit. This is like a bonus. But actually, our main objective of monitoring the platform, use this monitoring platform, we want the whole value chain to benefit from this platform. We're not focusing on the carbon credit only, and we want it to be useful for every sector. Are there any more questions from online participants? Please feel free to leave us comments.
I'd like to ask about the Yindi application. Yes, I think this is very interesting, and I would like two questions. The first one is about the delivery service in your platform. Do you use your own delivery service or the fulfillment from other? Yeah. The second question is about the food safety. Yes, I think the food safety for the food is very critical. So do you have your criteria or the standard when you're partnering with the restaurant or the retailer, such as the expiration date or the quality of the food that you can get in your platform and sell to the customer? How you can control on that aspect?
Thank you very much for the question. So the first question is about the delivery. So Yindi is not a food delivery. So we don't handle our own delivery. We partner with a third-party delivery platform. The one thing that comes with it, right, is the carbon footprint of delivery, right? So we're doing different things. The first one is we do batch delivery, meaning that because we have certain hours where we pick up the food, we can pick up 5-10 meals at the same time with 1 or 2 drivers and then distribute it. So we reduce the carbon footprint of delivery. Second one, we give an extra 10% on our food if you pick it up yourself, right? So trying to incentivize people to walk is something that we and reduce the carbon footprint of the order. So that was on the delivery side. And the second question was about the food safety. Yes. So what you have to understand about food waste is a lot of food are thrown away even before it becomes wastage. right? If you look at supermarket, they have rules when they have to throw it away 2 to 3 days, even sometimes weeks or months before the expiry date, right? While the food is still edible. If you think about hotel buffet, most of the time at the end, the buffet is closing, but the food is still edible, right? If you think about the bakery shop, at the end of the day, the store closes, but the food is still perfect, right? So basically, the idea is to say, we're selling at the exact same moment that you would order on your traditional food delivery or you would buy it in the shop, but you're getting, you know, the last pieces of the day, right? So quality is perfect, safety is ensured. Most of our partner, I mean, 100% of our partner have a quality control. We also have taken the decision not to work with street food vendors or work with people that do not have any quality control for that reason. So we're working right now mostly with high-end supermarkets, high-end bakeries, 5-star hotels to ensure that quality control.
มีคำถามเพิ่มเติมไหมครับถ้าไม่มีก็เดี๋ยวผมจะเชิญวิทยากรท่านอื่นที่ยังอยู่นะครับส่วนท่าน
If you have questions for our panelists, we will have a Q&A session here. Everyone, our panelists will be with us in the last session here, and any one of you who would like to ask more questions, feel free to do so. For those of you who are watching online, don't forget to leave us questions in the comments. And our moderator here has a final question for each panelist before we end today's session. So our moderator will ask one question and every panelist can answer this question. So today we have talked about trends and gaps and opportunities. We listen to the consumers and we take a look at the opportunities that we can get. We have INTAGE and Wisesight to do market research, market survey, and social listening who gave us insight on that. And the next session we have talked about business solutions, business models for sustainable agri-food value chains. We have the FLR 349 model, which is the social enterprises business model for restoration of forest, improvement of soil and biodiversity, rural livelihoods and resilience. And next we have the study of social return on investment, or SROI, of forest restoration project, how the project benefits every stakeholder. There are positive impact on the society, on the environment, on the producers, manufacturers, and consumers. As you can see that from the example, we get the SROI up to 8%. So it means for 1 baht, we get 8 baht in return in terms of social return on investment. And the last session, we talked about digital tools for low-carbon business operations. We have Mr. Thirach, the Executive Director of AFMA. He talked about sustainability to profitability. We talked about active carbon credit digital platform for carbon neutrality. And then we have digital platform to support forest landscape restoration, agroecological food system transformation, resilient communities. And lastly, we have Kun Louis from Yindi to introduce us to the food surplus rescue app to combat food waste. So my question is, the solutions that you have proposed, what are the challenges? And what can make the solutions possible? And how can we scale up? So, challenges, enabling factors.
The stage. Then we're going to start with the lady, okay, to make sure that the gender is equalized.
Gender แหวนค่ะอันนี้แยกอยู่นะคะอะไรนะโซลูชันตอนแรกใช่ไหมคะ แต่ว่าก็คือว่าตัวของแพลตฟอร์มจริงๆแล้วที่คุยกับคุณพายตอนแรกนะคะตัวของดิจิทัลแพลตฟอร์มที่ได้อธิบายไปตอนแรกค่ะคือว่าความตั้งใจก็คือว่าขยายสเกล
So actually, we have to upscale from the platform, digital platform. If we can upscale that platform, it's good for the consumers. But the challenge is the input, information that will be put in the database. Information on the society, on the economics. If there is no appropriate information input, machine learning model is quite impossible to measure. The more we input the information, the more effective this model can be used. So we can also use this data input for this model in order to be replicated for other models as well, for other projects. So for example, if the Area A is successful in doing this, Area B, which have similar problems and characteristics, might adopt and replicate this model as well. So the more input in the database, the more effective the tool and the more successful we will become. So the enabling factor is data input. So the data input, we need precision and knowledge in order to use the tool effectively. I would like to talk to you more about the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. We have to take a look and think if it's a burden or it's a chance, opportunity. It makes it possible for micro-medium enterprises competitive in the market. Instead of looking at the GDP, who has the higher income, we can take a look at other indicators. For example, headcounts or numbers of participants, social return investment. And also for carbon credit, it might seem like a hard thing right now because you might heard from big corporates. Some people say that we can put CO2 into a can and put it under the ocean. But how can a poor people or small producers do that? So if you want to reduce the carbon footprint, you have to use fewer natural resources or make better use, more efficient use of the natural resources. So if you use less, you will earn and profit more. You can save more as well. So if you adopt sustainability practices, you can sell fruit and vegetables at premium prices. Because this, for example, durian, this one is not like regular durian. The coffee is not like a regular coffee because it promotes sustainability. So we have to think about that as well. Also, some challenges is that the rules and regulations might not allow us to conveniently adopt sustainability practices. For example, if we want to do farming in this area, what can we do? We have to contact the government officials or the third party. You might have to pay them. You might have to do some hard work, more effort for them. So we have to work with many agencies. We ask some people, like, do you want to produce the first carbon footprint rice? Of course, they want to, but they don't know how to declare their product. They don't know how to start. And it is important that if you know what you're doing is sustainable, there are a lot of farmers who do sustainable actions, but they don't know how to declare their products. They don't know how to report or where to report to. For example, for some farmers, they use natural ways to combat pests. They do that already, but they don't know where to report to. I believe that a lot of farmers in Thailand, they achieve SDG goal, but they don't know how to further develop on that. So sustainability is everybody's business. It's everyone's responsibility. It depends upon how we can make use of it. So for the next one, Louis.
Challenges of being a small, very small company, trying to change a big industry. I think that the first point that is very difficult for us is the lack of awareness. I said everybody's talking about plastic. Now it's becoming much more in the head of everyone that plastic is destroying our planet, and people are changing their habits. Big companies are changing their habits. Government are putting laws, right? So it's very, very positive cycle. And when you look at food waste, it's still something that it's way understood from the global consumer, and very under-researched by the brands as well. So when I talk to a lot of retailers, they're like, not much, right? Not much food waste. They're like, how much? I don't know, right? And when you start digging inside, then you realize that there's hundreds of ways to countably not count your food waste, right? So you will not declare that it's waste. You will change it something in the accounting, and at the end of the year, you say, oh, look, 0.5%, right? And you're like, how come we're losing at a global level 40%, and you're one of the top food company in Southeast Asia, and you have 0.5, right? And because they're changing the numbers to look good, and there's no transparency, then even the management has no idea how big is this problem in their company, right? And this is a big challenge we're having with the big groups to kind of make them realize the impact they're having, and that they need to start researching about it. So that has been our challenge. I talked about the branding aspect. So we're trying to kind of tell them that now food waste is no, it was before something you wanted to hide. You were hiding in the number, you were hiding in the images, you were not showing it to consumer that you were throwing away, right? And now I think consumers are ready to hear about that, but they want to hear solution, right? They want to hear, hey, we are fighting food waste. We know we have food waste like everyone else. Nobody's zero waste, but we are trying to do something. And then, yeah, do PR, talk about it, do whatever you want on the brand side, but start acting and start reducing your food wastage. And what I'm happy is now that we've onboarding, for example, Texas Chicken or Central Group, now other groups are like, oh, we're not doing it. Why aren't we on the indie? Why aren't we doing anything, right? And I think we've started kind of this trend of now they're starting to look at the number. Now that they're starting to understand, okay, how much are we wasting, and what can we do about it, and is Yindi a good solution or not? But at least they're starting the reflection, and they're starting to dig into the numbers to make them more aware, right? So we're also happy to be that first step in the retail sector to start looking at environmental issues and profitability issues.
That's very, very clear. and ครับก็ท่านต่อไปนะครับเดี๋ยวผมสรุปนิดนึงคือ
I like to wrap up, Mr. Lewis. So there is a challenge for a small startup, Yindi. We have to accept that we have problems. We have to admit first that we have this problem of food waste. Once we admit that we have a problem, then we can find the solution. So for the FLR 349 SE social enterprises, the challenges is the government or the public sector does not admit that the upstream level of maize farming is a problem. So I can say that it's very hard to solve the problem, because for the monoculture or planting only one species of crops, it's not good for the land. But it is very strong food chain in Thailand. It's hard for us to find products, any kind of products to compete with them. When we produce 10 products in order to compete with one product of maize, which is the to feed livestock, it's really hard to compete with them. They're really big. And the governmental policies does not allow us to compete or to develop on this farming method that is not monoculture. So what we have to think about is how we can build our business model that can be competitive in this food industry. So I believe that we have to put a lot of hard work and effort into this. I might have to say that if we don't do it right now, no one will in the future. This is what, if you ask me, good partnership and goodwill, morality will make something that is really hard possible before we can pass it on to our next generation. The challenges that is important, in my opinion, that we have to help each other solve the problem. The most challenging is I cannot talk in a human language. So the problem is appropriate language to communicate. The local language that the local community people in the community communicate. For example, I cannot talk about regenerative method at Pakakayo group, ethnic group, minority group. I cannot talk to a group with different religions or different beliefs because I'm a Buddhist. Or for sustainability, it means something that renewable as well and can be used for a long run in the future. But for in Thai word, what does ยั่งยืน or sustainable mean? It's not the same meaning as English that much, so it's hard to communicate this concept to people. It took me 1 hour to explain the word sustainable to local people. So I think one challenge is you have to practice English, you have to be able to understand Chinese, you have to understand the engineering language, you have to understand satellite language, you have to understand language of every part in order to communicate. Because when it starts with policy levels, but for the micro level, they will ask you simple questions. Can we sell this? Can we plant this? So we have to simplify and communicate with local people. I think I have to keep on talking to people a lot more. So for the enabling factor, I want everyone to communicate using your heart. Whether what language you use, heart to heart, you have to be on the same page and hold hands, go hand in hand, and solve the problem together. Speak from your heart. It's a really good conclusion. So it's about communication. We have to make everyone understand because we might talk in different languages, but in the end, we are one. So thank you very much, all the panelists. Thank you very much, all the participants on site and online participants as well.
forward to seeing you in the future. We will be organizing this kind of organization and this kind of events throughout the year, and we will let you know. We will keep you posted. And last but not least, I like everyone to give a clap to our translator who is in the box, and also online participants. We please thanks to your translator who has been working very hard for 3 hours. I hope that we all understand what we speak in a different language. Thank you. โอเคแล้วก็เดี๋ยวถ่ายรูปร่วมกันนะครับครับผมได้เดี๋ยวมีป้าย SDG มาถือด้วยนะครับรอสักครู่นะครับครับงั้นก็ขอขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับ
Thank you very much for participating in today's event. We look forward to having you in our future sessions. For today, thank you very much.